Let's say you have the new Gen-12 shotgun and you want to take a look at some other options for running air other than the airline connector it comes with out the back. Well, we're going to take a look at how to install the complete WRAITH X as well as just the HPA kit on today's episode of What the Tech. One really cool thing about the WRAITH system is that we are going to have a lot of options, but we're going to start with the WRAITH HPA kit. With the HPA kit, we'll be able to run a 13 cubic inch tank, and on a tank this size, you can expect to get around 15 to 18 magazines, which is about 2100 to 2500 BBs off of this single tank if you're dwell set correctly. Now, if you're interested about running more things than just the HPA tank, maybe you want a little bit of flexibility, then you will probably want the entire WRAITH X kit, which will let us run the 13 cubic inch tanks as well as 33 gram CO2 and 12 gram CO2. Now on a 33 gram cartridge, we can get about 7 to 8 mags, which is going to be about 900 to 1100 BBs, which is pretty good. And then on the 12 gram CO2 cartridge, we'll only get about 2 to 5 magazines, but that still is about 250 to 350 BBs. So to get started, there's just going to be a few things that we'll need. We'll want a 2mm hex key. You'll probably want an armor's wrench if you don't have one already. You'll want to have yourself a 1/4 inch wrench, a 1/8 inch hex key, and then a 4mm hex key as well. If you need an in-depth video about how to take apart the Gen-12 shotgun, we have a whole in-depth video about that, and we'll link that down below. Now that we got the rail off and all that out of the way, we'll simply slide the engine out of the upper. The first thing we're going to want to do is take our 1/4 inch wrench. I'm just going to pop this on the back of our airline here. I'll go ahead and pull that off. The next thing we're going to need is the airline for our WRAITH kit here. You'll want to know that this airline is a specific one for the Gen-12 shotgun. And we'll go ahead and snug that back down with the 1/4 inch wrench. Next thing I'm going to want to do is slide my little wire guard sleeve here out of the upper, since I didn't get that when I took the engine out. And then I'm going to pop out my contact yoke. Now we can go ahead and start putting this back together. I'm going to plug the contact yoke into the back, pinch it up with my airline, and then I'm going to guide this back on, making sure the slotted side goes this way so that I can line it up with where the airline connects to the engine itself. So you'll just want to gently guide all that through, making sure that everything stays connected. The hole here on the bottom will be pointing up the same way as my feed tube, so that all of that will line up well once I slide the engine in. Then I'll just gently guide everything through together, making sure not to force it because I don't want to pinch my wires. Now once I get part way, I'm going to make sure my airline hasn't tried to pop out the side of the receiver. Next, I'm going to take a little tool to fish my contact yoke up out of the lower. You'll want to make sure when you do this that you don't unplug the contact yoke from the solenoid. Then I can just guide this the rest of the way through. The next thing that I'm going to do is just take my hop-up adjustment screw. I'm going to gently screw it in from the top, making sure that everything's aligned correctly. Again, if you want more thorough instructions on this, you can check out the video down below. I'm just going to take the hardpoint adapter and finger tighten that on there. Next, I'll take my 1/4 inch wrench, pop that on the back of my airline fitting, and then you can simply put your other 4mm wrench, or the 5/32 one, into the front here and just snug that down. You don't have to go crazy tight on it. And then we're just going to take our adapter and pop that into place. Now that we have the hard point back on the upper, we're just going to go ahead and put the rest of this back together. So we'll just install the outer barrel. And the rail. When you're putting on the rail, you'll want to make sure that your spring and detent have not fallen out of it before you put it back on. To get started on the lower receiver, I'm going to take a hex key or something that will fit through this hole in the stock here. I'm going to want to squeeze this all the way down, stick a pin or a tool through that hole, and then we'll push back down on that and then the stock will slide right off the back. Next, I'll take my armor's wrench here. I'm just gonna gently loosen that up. Turn the castle nut until it's all the way to the back, and then I can slide the frac adapter towards the rear of the stock. You might want to know that the stock is probably going to have a little bit of Loctite on it, which will make it a bit tight, but you should be able to break it by hand. Something that you would like to know about this guy, if you don't know about the WRAITH X, is that the WRAITH X stock and the HPA kit both use the same regulator. So whether you're doing the full stock or just the HPA kit, this part of the installation will be exactly the same. So first what I'm going to do is take my castle nut. I'm going to make sure that the slotted side faces towards the back of the stock itself. Then we'll just thread that onto the stock. I'm going to take my sling plate here and slide that onto the front. Just gently thread it into the back of your receiver. The main thing you'll want to watch for here is that you don't screw your stock past flush. So you don't want the surface here of the stock to extend past this back surface on your low receiver. Otherwise, you won't be able to put your upper and lower back together. I'm going to put my sling plate down onto the back of the receiver here, making sure that the little cutout or the little tab on it here is aligned with the hole in the back of the receiver. Then I'm just going to go ahead and tighten down my castle nut by hand. And I'll just give it a bit of a snug. You don't have to go crazy on it. Now that we got the stock installed on the lower, the last thing to do is go ahead and put the upper and lower back together. So if you have them in, you'll want to make sure that your two front and rear body pins, that they're pushed out of the receiver like so. Then we'll just take our upper and we're going to angle it down a little bit to get the adapter here on the back lined up with the hole on the inside of your stock. Once you get all that aligned, you should be able to just kind of push it at a little bit of an angle, putting a little bit of rearward pressure on it. And once it's all aligned, you should be able to pop in your body pins. If anything feels tight, you probably should just check your alignment of everything and try again. It should go very smooth. So now that we have the upper and lower together, let's take a quick look at the stock. So this is the WRAITH X, the complete stock assembly here. And this guy's super nice. So if we want to run 12-gram cartridges, we can simply unthread the cap from the back here. You'd pop that guy in and then turn that and everything would pressurize. That's a super nice option. If we wanted to run the 33-gram cartridge like this guy, all you'd want to do is take your 2mm hex key, unscrew the back screw there a little bit, then you can pull out this adapter and your cartridge will simply go on down and thread into the stock here like so. Now, if you wanted to run your 13 cubic inch tank, you'd take the same hex key, unscrew your stock there or your buffer tube, take out your expansion chamber, and then you could just take a 13 cubic inch tank like this guy here, and you would just thread him into the back of the stock like so. Now, if you got the HPA kit, that will come with your regulator here and the bottle stock. And you'll simply slide that over your tank, tighten that guy down, and there you have it. So you can see with a few simple tools, it doesn't even take that long. It's a super simple install to install either the HPA kit or the full WRAITH X stock, and you have a whole bunch of options for running air kits to your shotgun other than the tank and the line on your back. So hopefully you found this video super useful. If you like what you saw, don't forget to give us a comment, let us know how we did. Go check out the channel, maybe find some other great content about any of our products, and we will see you guys out on the field.